Hello friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. This video is going to be kind of a response to a question. Reverend Steve asked the question about maybe some affordable options or some different approaches to picking up a Honus Wagner card. And I've been fortunate to pick up a few over the years. I would say there's one I consider to be kind of a big one. At least for me, they're not quite as, they obviously get like almost infinity big, but in my collection, it's considered a big one. And then I've got a couple that are still pretty significant and a few others that are close to that. But I've got several that are on the reasonable end. So I just figured I'd take some time to share some Honus Wagners. I don't know how many I have, maybe up to 10, but you'll see what they are and why they are. So they're not, it's not 10 monster cards. It's a pretty decent range of options for what Honus Wagner could be. So those are either looking to add, kind of one of every Hall of Famer, every, 20th century and on Hall of Famer. This might be useful if you're feeling Honus Wagner's gotten, cost prohibitive, because a lot of his cards are, vehicle values and house values and, net worth, rich guy values if you're talking T206. Those get to be impossible for nearly every collector. So mine's obviously a little bit more on the value, everyday kind of collecting ideas. So let me flip this around and take a look, see what y'all think. All right, friends, let's dive in here with the Honus Wagner collection here. Just some options. So this one is, one of my absolute favorites. It probably is literally my favorite set. I think the value to image, to coolness, to rarity kind of formula you toss into the hat and see how it comes out. For me, this set is just insanely awesome. So it's M101-2 Sporting News supplements. So they came out at various times through a multi-year run. What's neat is on this, you can actually see the exact date. Let me see if I can angle this without it getting crazy. So September 23rd, 1909. It's just amazing to have an image like that. So you get an actual image of Honus Wagner from 1909. And it's by no means small change. That's actually a pretty big item within my collection. Absolutely, for me, that was a significant addition. But in relation to Honus Wagner items, it's still on the affordable spectrum for a playing days era. Okay, start with that because it's big. Second one I'm going to show you guys is the one that I would consider to be kind of my next level, next tier. That's a top few card in my collection for value. These are tough. So it's back to Sporting News actually, so kind of thematic there. But M101-4. This one, again, I guess if you're looking at something to pick up on a reasonable budget, I would skip this one. I had to do mostly trade with, I think, a little bit of cash to supplement to get this thing, but these don't come up every day. It kind of looks like he's doing like a golf swing. He's probably hitting grounders to somebody or something, I don't know. But what an amazing player. I'm going to be doing some player features in the coming year, so I'll have some videos where I really talk about it's blank back, maybe a deeper dive on some of the cards and a deeper dive on the player themselves. So look for that if you're looking to consider some Honus Wagner things. I'm hoping to make that kind of fun, get in some stats, some player history, some biography kind of features. But for me, that was, I kind of wanted like a marquee piece. I don't know if anyone else collects like that, but it's kind of nice when you say like, what's your, show me a big card of that guy. You're like, well, I don't really have anything too significant. They're all kind of smaller tier. Honus Wagner is such a big deal in the sport and in the hobby. I just kind of wanted to get something that was, representative of that status. So that's why I wanted to go after a big card of his. Next, this is another one it's sneaky big. These playing card series can be a nice option. And actually, I'm going to just slide them all in here. There's 3. And you'll see that a lot. Sometimes all the images are the same, but a lot of times you'll see maybe 2 match and one is just a little bit different. So you get the 1914 Polo Grounds, you get the 1913 National Game, and you get the 1913 Tom Barker game. So 2 of them look the same in this case. I actually like the presentation of the National Game and the Tom Barker better because of the size of the image. I think it's super cool to get an actual image. Polo Grounds, still cool, and you get more of like a full body because of the dimension. You do get a lot of like full body image kind of things, but back. Let's see if we can flip them all over and see if they got them right this time. There we go. That's what the backs should look like. So these are interesting. I love these sets, and I probably shouldn't even say that because there's still a few more I need to get. There's some players I'm still hunting for. But these, given the era and the scope, I mean, if you're looking at like, you know, the caramel cards and E-series of Honus Wagner, you're talking 5 figures. These, on rare occasions, will sneak in for under 4, but usually a little over 4 figures, and you're into a playing era pickup. So still huge, still for, you know, a lot of us that's a you know, significant sit and think about it kind of investment. But again, if you're thinking Honus Wagners are, you know, 5 to 10 to 20,000, those are definitely an option to toss out there and consider. If post-playing days for representation is of interest, you can always go with something like that. So the Ritirato set is, of course, something that a few of us have really caught on to. I think my Honus Wagner is a pretty gosh darn clean version for being, you know, evaluated and graded as a 1. Why is it a 1? Because like most of these, it has some paper loss in the back, but you can still read the whole thing. So that's like a dream 1. That's best case scenario 1 in my world. I don't mind a little bit of loss when it's off in the corners and, you know, it doesn't impact reading especially. A little bit weird. I mean, they put his name right up there, like through his hat, almost into his hair, but I would say pretty fantastic item. But that's obviously, that's post-playing days, that's post-coaching days, that's, you know, truly beyond his career. If you want to go and keep it into his active baseball career, not as a player, but as a coach, there are some really cool options. So, tip-top red, pretty rare. I think you're going to still be paying almost like Ritirato pricing because the population is probably sub 100 of those. Sometimes it's sub 50. I'm not sure where these fall exactly right now, but tip-tops are pretty tough. So 1947 issue, he's listed as a coach. Obviously, it's probably a current picture of him because he's looking as though he probably is a little further along in life. Back of these, super cool. But just to have something of that nature could be fun and keeps the price a little bit more reasonable. Although still, I'd still consider that to be an investment. This one, I think is, the next one up is one of the more interesting. So the debate on the T206, was he protesting and saying pull that out because of the image of tobacco being associated with him and for kids? That's the, you know, Honus was a great guy perspective. Honus was a businessman perspective, is he was protesting that he wasn't being compensated and was upset that they were trying to use his image. Therefore, he said you have to pull it if you're not going to be properly going through the channels so that he could have some compensation. I haven't taken a deep enough dive. I mean, that is, to me, the ultimate iconic card in the hobby, the T206, but the irony of this is on his, and we now know it's 1949 leaf, not 1948 PSA, but on this card, he's obviously using tobacco. So, you know, the irony should not be lost on us that his tobacco card is pulled, and that was the only tobacco card of him made. And then you end up with this leaf where literally, I don't know if there's anybody else in the set that would show them using tobacco. How crazy is that? It's fun that it lists him as John. Mine's obviously got kind of the registration issues of the day. There's a little bit of tape. It's, you know, not centered real well, but if you're looking for something on the value end, the one thing I would push on the leafs is make sure you can read the back, because the backs of these are usually pretty interesting and well done. A nice little bio to read and something to learn about the player you just picked up an item for. But to me, the colors, the image, the fact he's using tobacco, and that's still technically in his coaching career. So if you're looking for something where he was just active in baseball, that leaf could be a really cool one. A little bit earlier coaching career, you have some other options as well. I'll go in kind of reverse R order. So this would be considered your R313. This is a fine pen. His name is written very, very thin, so that's considered a fine pen issue. But cool image, right? Almost looks like he's thinking, maybe he's getting ready to throw a pitch. I don't know. The backs of these a lot of times is what leads it to be a little bit tougher grade, so he's got a little bit of dirt scuffing, whatever going on, which is completely fine. The front presents amazingly. And you do find that you can actually pick up a little bit better deal maybe if you're willing to get them ungraded. I don't think there's a huge rampant issue with those being copied and faked and run through the hobby. So that's an R313. This is an R312. If you're wanting to double down and get not only Honus, but another Hall of Famer on there, Arky Vaughan. And these are, you know, the one I just showed, this one and the next one are all kind of like in the hundreds, not thousands kind of range. If you find one for 80 bucks, I'd question if it's real or you need to buy it immediately. But for hundreds, you're into a coaching era of Honus Wagner. So this one is, you know, and these things are kind of all probably 35, 36, 37, up to like 39 era. There's a lot of issues in there. So you're getting Honus Wagner coaching era, and you're also getting a Arky Vaughan that would be pretty early / prime of his career. So kind of a dual purpose on this one, depending on who you're trying to collect. But talk about legendary. I mean, the Pirates have to have the all-time greatest shortstop history, right? Those two alone. I don't know who else has two crazy, you know, top 10, top 15 shortstops, maybe top 10. Arky Vaughan is not appreciated enough, and Honus Wagner, it'll be tough to debate that he's not number one with what he did. So these are blank backs. You'll find a lot of these with rough backs because they're basically photos, right? So folks would toss that into like a scrapbook or something, or a photo album, and have it preserved there. So sometimes the conditions are good, sometimes they're creased, whatever, but they usually present pretty gosh darn well. And the nice thing is, if they were folded up and put away for years, maybe not looked at, they tend to not be quite so like sun faded and damaged. All right, last one. I'm going to show you the back of it first, because I think you can actually tell on the back it looks a little, I don't know, rugged. We'll call it leathery. And if you know why I'm saying that, then you know exactly what this is. Flip this guy around. Love this thing. This is one you don't see as often. R311. So it's kind of funny. Sometimes I'll talk about like how hard they are to find, but if you're talking population reports, clearly I'm showing you ones that are not graded, so I'm not in the population reports on these things. But the Archivon, sliding Honus Wagner, showing him tagging, so you're getting that team up of two Hall of Famers again, one kind of early career and one coaching career. But to me, this is one you just don't come across very often. R311 has the two finishes. One looks almost like it's a printed, secondhand kind of image because it's the glossy finish. So it looks almost like a, just print you're buying from whatever store today. And then these are really cool and unique when you can find them. And I collect both, but the leather finish has a lot more of like a rugged, textured look to it. I don't know. Maybe I can get in well enough. You can almost tell like it looks. It just has this, and even what's cool about having this thing not in a slab is that I can take this out and feel what that is. And you can feel it. It definitely feels textured. It's not some kind of like weird illusion. It literally is like a leathery finish. So this is not the most expensive piece in my collection, but definitely one of the coolest ones. I love this set. I love the fact you get two Hall of Famers, so talking like combo card kind of thing. But I just think that's a phenomenal option if you're looking. So that's a run through. That's everything from, a couple $100 coaching career, post playing days, some bigger playing days items, some oversized, some regular size, just a little bit of variety. But I always want folks to, when you dive in, especially if you're looking for something that's maybe outside your normal search zone, reach out. Definitely say I'm looking for X. Any ideas or recommendations, or here's my budget, or here's what I found. Is this a good deal? I think that's the beauty of having that community. So I know I've had some folks that are, commenting. They'll email me, and I've had several folks that I text with on a regular basis. And there's folks I send things to and say, what do you think of this? What's going on here? And it's really, really helpful to have the support and shared knowledge as an available resource. So that is what I have for Honus Wagner. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I will catch you guys on the next video. Take care.